This episode of WoW Weekly is brought to you by WoWweekly.net, your source for Warcraft and Blizzard news, guides, and editorials.
This month in Warcraft, the subscriber numbers have dropped by 2.9 million players in just 3 months' time. There will be no flying in the foreseeable future, likely including expansions, and there will be at least one more content patch before 6.2. Welcome to WoW Weekly episode number 62. I'm Mezzy, and this week I am joined by LJ. Welcome, LJ.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
There is no Matt this time, and
no beautiful face.
No beautiful face,
darling.
Yeah, we're not sure if he'll be back for the podcast. He's got real life changes coming in pretty soon, so he might not even keep raiding because of them.
Now and again, they catch up to people. So
Yeah, so we've been quite busy, even if we haven't been doing the podcast. In the past month or so, since halfway through May, we've been putting out a dozen rating guides, putting out mythic dungeon previews, Time Walker dungeon previews. We've been live streaming them as well. We're actually going to live stream again this Tuesday. The Time Walker dungeons are still up, and we'll be using the random tool, obviously, because that's how you enter them. And we should have a full group again, just like with the Mythic Dungeons, so that should be pretty good.
Sounds good.
Yeah, so let's get right into it. A few weeks ago, the subscriber numbers were released for the end of the first quarter, and on the 31st of March, there were just 7.1 million subscribers, when they were at 10 million 30 months earlier. That's a pretty significant drop. I was expecting the drop, but
Not
that
this.
amount, it's pretty insane, especially considering it was, a month or two after Blackrock Foundry released as well.
Yeah.
So why do you think this drop happened so rapidly?
Well, there's a couple things, of course, because you have a lot of people joining in. We had a very big rise of players come in for the expansion. So you're also going to have a few leavers there, but 3.1 million still, I think, what is 2.9, I mean,
2.9, yeah.
2.9 is still a very big amount. So I think that goes to show, because I'm also one of those 2.9 million people.
Gasp.
Yeah,
You heretic.
I've stopped playing it, and I'm playing other games at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, not MMOs, but just other stuff. And getting into real life. It's really weird, but anyways, yeah, I think it goes to show that even though there is, you can do a lot of stuff in the game, there isn't that much that keeps you tied to the game for that long anymore. I mean, the whole process of gearing up, getting ready for raids, raiding itself, everything. I mean, that's a far shorter process than what it used to be, and I think everything in between and all the things you can do. And I mean, of course, you can collect 1 million of these, you can find 1 million of these, you can, all those little things that can keep you busy for
content
a long time.
Outside in the world of Warcraft.
Exactly. And I think certain changes they've made as well, like with the flying mounts. We'll get back to that later on, of course.
Yeah.
But with the flying mounts, that they have been disabled. I think that was a beneficial thing to do, because you were far more immersed in the world, and you did everything took longer and was more fun. But I just think that garrisons alone and the leveling experience alone are just not enough to keep people satisfied at the moment.
But why would flying mounts be the cause? Because you can still go out and do everything. I mean,
I'm not saying it's a cause. I'm saying it's I'm actually saying it's a good thing, and it's a good thing.
Okay.
I'm not giving it. I think it's definitely a good thing. I think I meant beneficial, as in you experience the whole new continent and all continent and content basically better. But I just think, like I said, of course you have the leveling, which takes so long. You have garrisons, which can keep you busy for quite a while. But next to that, and dungeons and raids and such, of course, I mean, there isn't that much. Of course, you can do a whole lot of dailies. I mean, I'm talking purely PvE. PvP, of course, is
Sure.
if you do PvP, you can keep yourself busy. Though I've, of course, heard a lot of complaints about that as well. But
Ashran did not turn out what it was supposed to be.
exactly. I mean, that was to be expected.
Yeah.
A lot of those things. I like the ideas they try to implement, but it just, it's often just missing that little thing that will make it awesome.
Yeah. One of the things for me is that there's still stuff to do. I mean, have you gotten all the music scrolls yet? Have you gotten all the pets and stuff like that? But
Yeah, but
they're
that's
collecting things and not everyone appreciates them.
exactly. I mean, I have to admit, I'm often a perfectionist collector in games, but WoW takes it to such a high level at the moment. I mean,
Even the reputations, it's just a grind.
reputations, Apexis crystal stuff, the pets, like you said, the music scrolls. I mean, what more? You have so many stuff that you can collect if you want to, but eventually, yeah. Like for instance, I'm now playing the Witcher 3, which we released 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Or what was it? 2 weeks ago or 1 week? I think it was.
It's been recent at least.
It's recent, at least, exactly, and it's been an amazing game. I have to admit, I don't want to plug that game, but it's really good. And the thing is, it's a real RPG once again, and I've missed that in the past couple of years. I mean, Skyrim, of course, is awesome as well, but this game it has collectibles that, well, they aren't always as great, but it's still fun to do them. Like you have to get up the hill, you have to do something special, and you get loot, and you get special patterns, you get something special out of it.
Yeah.
With WoW, okay, you get a music scroll. I don't care.
Well, I like having the invincible music in my garrison.
Oh yeah, Grats with Invincible, of course.
Oh yeah, I have the mount as well now.
We're
After
finally
3
on the same level,
expansions.
so.
Same level. I mean, it took 3 freaking expansions before I finally got what I deserved, in my opinion, of course.
Well, still too soon, but okay.
Thanks. I'm really
Welcome.
glad you're my friend, man.
Yeah, I know. You really appreciate me, huh?
Yeah, but at least reputations will be improved in 6.2, and we'll get back to that in a bit as well.
Yeah.
So I think we should move on to the next one. Next subject.
Let's do that, and let's talk about the flying mounts, like
Yes.
we were talking about for a moment, because like everybody knows or should know that in World of Warcraft, Warlords of Draenor, that flying mounts have been disabled from the very get-go, and like I said before, and I know Mezzy agrees with it, that not having the use of flying mounts really improves the expansion. You get to see and do a lot more, and than just you're hovering over everything. I mean, it makes it much better. And what they now have said that in an interview with Polygon Watcher, it was revealed that they won't be implementing flying mounts in the near future as well, because I think they noticed that a lot of people like it, and I mean that just means. Oh, okay. Polygon interview with Polygon Watcher. That's a dev. How many devs are there?
Polygon is the site, and Watcher is the developer.
Sorry guys, I'm reading up from something. I did hear something about it, but I didn't read the actual interview like my co-host has done. But yeah, so I mean, like I'm going to quote here then. The world feels larger, feels more dangerous, there's more room for exploration, for secrets, for discovery, and overall immersion in the world. And I think that really hits the nail on the head, because that's what it really does. Flying mounts are a lot of fun. They're cool to collect, some look very awesome, and especially in like certain I think in the expansion that they were very well used, especially like Northrend with all the mountains and such. It made travel a little bit easier, but I think not implementing flying mounts is only a beneficial thing for the future. I mean, like they said, there might be flights options in specific expansion ideas or zones that would benefit from them. So that means they're not completely, wasted gathering dust in your inventory. But it just means that they'll be more special and that they'll be used for specific areas, quests, who knows what.
And the thing is, I think Cataclysm is the only expansion where we had flying while leveling up. The other expansions didn't have it at all. So overall, the leveling experiences, let's face it, Warlords of General leveling was the best of all expansions as far as how it felt, and it was fun. And it wasn't a real drag unless you were doing it the first night. But other than that, that was fine. The real discussion is for endgame. But what is it that you currently can't do or is a lot more of a bother with endgame with just ground mounts compared to other expansions? Because even in the Burning Crusade, I certainly didn't have my flying mount right away, I believe. You had to save up for it, wasn't it?
Yeah,
like
it wasn't
1,000
like
gold?
a crazy amount of gold. I thought it was 5,000 or something.
Yeah, I think the...
Flying itself was 5,000 gold, wasn't
Yeah.
it? And then a
there's-
flying mount for a couple of hundred or something is really...
Yeah, the 5,000 was for the 280% flying speed, I believe.
normal
And
was
then you
1,000.
had the 60% flying. So, even in the Burning Crusade, you didn't have flight right away, and you could do in-game content. Now, for me, the question that was asked on Twitter by multiple developers was not as much, okay, why flying, but what in-game is bad with just ground mounts for which you would rather have flying mounts? Now, the number one answer for that is obviously archaeology. Holy crap, I hate archaeology, and I'm trying to get all pristine items. I'm one pristine item away from having the entire collection.
That's horrible.
And I've been having to do that on ground mounts. So, yes, it's annoying, but at the same time, it does make me spend time in-game. I can have a TV show on my other screen, watch a movie, stuff like that, while traveling around. But I'm still spending time in-game, and it's not that bad. The thing is, with this expansion, you have your materials such as herbs and ore right in your garrison. The way herbs are currently implemented in Warlords, if they would do that in a future expansion without the garrison part, would be horrible. Because if you look at, I guess, I'm not sure if it was already in Cataclysm, but in Wrath and expansions before that, you had different zones, and those zones had specific herbs. You knew where to go for your herbs. In Warlords, the herbs are just scattered all over, and maybe there's a pattern I haven't seen because I haven't been really paying attention to it, but it just feels random. So if you don't have the garrison garden and stuff like that, you'd have to really go looking around the world on your ground mount then to try and find the herbs, but because it's so random, you don't know which zone you should go to. That's a real issue that they would need to address in future expansions. They would need to go back to the herb and ore design of how they spawn of expansions long ago.
Yeah, now it's a leftover combination of the both, and that doesn't work at the moment. And especially coming back to archaeology, I mean, like what you said, and I think that also, it also shows that some people like archaeology. I mean, only the diehards who like archaeology now will or really want to collect stuff will go that far at the moment.
Yeah, well, I don't like archaeology, but I'm still doing it.
Yeah, true, but you're a collector. You want to get the most out of the game, and I think 2.9 million people just said, I'm not going to spend 13 euros a month for archaeology or other stuff that looks like that. I mean, like we said, the music scrolls and such stuff like that. I mean, for 13 euros a month, people want to, do stuff.
Yeah.
Want to have want the character develop, not just gear-wise, but also they want to do quests. They want to get out there. They want to meet special NPCs and everything. I mean, like we do. I know we didn't do that. Used to do that all the time. I mean, like Burning Crusade and everything. But it's still, you're just missing that. It's like 1 or 2 months of honeymoon period, and after that, it's like, yeah, I've seen everything again.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. The thing is, and it was mentioned, I'm not sure if it was the Polygon interview or another one, there have been a few. It's a very cyclical process. People come, the majority at least, come for a new patch. They stay a while, and once they've seen it all, they just quit, and then next patch, again, they come back, check it out, and then leave again. And 2.9 million is a lot, but again, that's 29%. It's not actually terrible to think that 29% of the players does the coming for the patch, leaving, coming for a new patch, leaving. So in that sense, it's not too terrible.
No, it's not too terrible. I mean, it was to be expected that the 10 million wouldn't stick for that long.
Yeah.
I mean, unfortunately, but I mean, take myself as an example again. I really wanted to go in there for this expansion, go for it, and have fun and stay longer. But it just it didn't compel me out anymore. I mean, I had 4 other alts at the highest level, so I had 5 characters. I mean, it just gets tiresome, building all those garrisons. Trying to gear up. I mean, it's fun for a little while, but I mean, after a while, you've seen all the garrison stuff. You've seen everything that's happened, and yeah, I mean, okay, for your main, you want to collect a lot of stuff. Well, not everybody does, but I mean, I used to do that a lot. I still did that quite a bit, but not as much as I used to. It could be that a lot of people, the primary base of players is starting to outgrow the game. That's also a possibility.
Yeah. It's 10 years old. Let's face it. People grow up.
Exactly. I mean, people grow up. That's why it's important that they get new players, which Blizzard has been trying to do for a long time now, and is somewhat succeeding at it, I believe. But yeah, it's just you also have to face the fact that it is a 10-year-old game, and even though the expansions are still awesome, and now the whole game is awesome, and now the newest expansion is also awesome, but that still means that you either go through 90 levels of pure boredom, for instance, if you start the game, or you buy a character. For what was it, 50 euros?
The boosts, 50 euros.
50 euros.
And $50.
$50. So that's plus buying the game, which is fairly cheap, except the latest expansion nowadays. Plus 50 euros for a character, man. That's just.
It's a lot.
It just characterizes the kind of player you have. Either the old school players who've been there since, well, maybe not day one, but they've played most of the game. And then you have the new players who just only for this expansion. And it just goes. It's difficult to say what each's reaction is, but it's definitely. I think World of Warcraft and Blizzard start as much as I love World of Warcraft, they can't keep going on with just new expansions because they're going to have 30 gigs of stuff that you're not using just so you can play 5 gigs.
Don't forget, you also have Heroes of the Storm, Hearthstone.
Yeah, you have Heroes of the Storm and Hearthstone and StarCraft and Diablo. So, I mean, they are definitely diversifying and, using the money, the pile of gold that they're sitting on, and spreading it out into new things. I mean, Hearthstone, I think, is one of their
a great success. They have more than 30 million players.
I mean, that's probably the highest source of income at the moment because, okay, the game, of course.
I wouldn't say that.
Judging by all the people that are playing and the amount of packs that's probably bought and expansions now as well, I think. Yeah. And if you look at the development costs that would go into World of Warcraft or Hearthstone, I would say the margin, at least, is higher on Hearthstone at the moment than any other game they have.
The margin I would definitely agree with, but overall profit, I still feel like World of Warcraft is going to earn a lot more with 13 euros per month or dollars, whatever your region is.
Yeah.
From 7.1 million subscribers, that can also buy stuff like pets and mounts from the in-game shop.
Yeah, but then
The
you have 30
abomination
million,
that it is.
30 million people who say, for instance, buy 1 pack a month.
Yeah.
That's pretty low key. I mean, maybe 0.75 pack a month.
Well, let's say the 10 euros per month.
Exactly, that's 300.
That would
euros.
put you at 70 million from just subscriptions in WoW.
Yeah.
And if you do 1 pack per month, a pack is 129, I believe.
Yeah, 129.
So let's just say 1. So that would only be 30 compared to the 70 million. Then add in the change, the 30 euros extra per subscriber, and the 29 cents per pack holder. WoW's still going to top it. But if you then indeed look at the margins, Hearthstone has to be very profitable.
Yeah, I mean, selling cards costs them almost nothing.
No, not at all.
I mean, if you actually look at all the revenue, the whole revenue stream, I mean, of course they have to develop stuff and support, etc., etc., etc. So I mean, like a card pack would cost them 0.05 cents probably, if you really look at it.
No idea. I'm not gonna say on specific cards, but you have server costs, and that's almost it. Maintenance and support. That's the overhead.
The overhead, yeah. I mean, but this is something we can go on and on about.
We're getting off track again.
Oh,
so
we always do that. I think
we always do.
I think we need to rename our podcast to that or something.
The sometimes WoW Weekly podcast with tangents on other games, Hearthstone, Heroes of the Storm, and sometimes real life.
Let's just call it WoW
Oh dear. Yes, let's keep it with WoW Weekly. So before we move on back to flying itself, what other than archaeology
we were
and
talking about flying.
Yes, we were talking about flying. It's amazing how we went from flying to subscribers
overhead costs
to overhead
of
costs.
Hearthstone.
Yes. So other than herbs and archaeology, what needs to improve to make not having flying mounts a good thing? Is there anything?
I don't think there's anything that much. I mean, not using the fly mounts itself in a new zone, I think that's the greatest benefit. I actually have people, not step on the mount and fly from A to B, but actually have to use the ground mount, watch and look around and see stuff. Maybe, throw in a couple side quests or, stuff on the along route, and especially with the followers now that, you can find a follower quite easily and stuff like that. I mean, I think just improving the whole overall experience when people are going from A to B using a ground mount is a benefit on itself instead of using a flying mount. I mean, it's difficult to place quest NPCs in the air waiting for people to fly by.
Yeah.
put them next to the road and have people go for it.
Yeah. That would be
It's
really
possible,
funny.
it's possible,
I mean,
but
hey, they did it. Wrath of the Lich King, Ice Crown Citadel, the giant flying thing.
yeah, I totally know what you mean, and but I do think it's better to let people just walk to it.
Yeah, and the thing is, the flight paths have improved as well. So, as far World of Warcraft has problems, no doubt. Some of them are sort of being addressed in 6.2, and again, we'll come to that later. But to say flying is a big cause, I'm sorry, but those people are just in denial. Flying affects very little of the actual content and gameplay that there's out there. So archaeology is a current thing, but herbs, and due to another issue, the garrison, herbs and ore, and they aren't a problem. Flying is not the main issue.
No.
So I think with all the discussion that has been going on about flying in the community, Twitter as well, we should probably move on.
Let's do that.
Yes, you have another. Yes.
Oh, that's me again. I'm sorry, I thought it was you. I hope they didn't notice.
Oh wow, we're out
so
of
Watcher
practice.
also said
Huh?
in that interview, I'm doing it now, said in that interview that 6.2 will not be the last content patch of Warlords. We've still got plenty of more story to tell after this. So, who's gonna die? Who's gonna sleep with whom? And
well, Garona is going to be in a love triangle between Khadgar and the Shadow, whoever she is. The
yeah, definitely. I see that happening.
Yeah, but in all seriousness, while it's good news that there will be at least one more patch after 6.2, it still frickin' doesn't answer the question, is there going to be a third raid tier? And this annoys me beyond belief because, once again, we still don't know if we paid a lot, well, 10 euros extra for an expansion and then get less overall content and time out of the expansion.
Yeah.
Because,
it would
even
be very un-Blizzard-wise as well.
Yeah.
Just want to put that out there. But go ahead, what were you saying?
Because even if we get another small patch, it would still mean we would get less for the money, even if there wasn't a price increase, which always annoys me because of the difference between the US and EU. We always end up paying more as Europeans, which really sucks. I mean, let's face it, the euro has some other issues going on, but still no real answer. Great.
The euro has issues?
Yeah, something about Greece, I don't know. Something about no, never mind. But
let's not dabble into politics.
No, although politics is a very interesting subject.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But anyway, great that we'll get another patch after 6.2. I'm hoping that it's going to be more like patch 5.1 instead of patch 6.1, because 6.1, while bringing stuff like the heirloom stuff, my bags are still full. And so it was great that we got the system, but we need more. We need more content and we need more systems in place. We need improvements. So whatever 6.3 is going to be, I hope it's going to be more fleshed out.
Yeah, me too. But yeah, I mean, I played the game for a little while now, so I mean, just give me a heads up when it's fun to play again.
6.2 is going to be fun. So let's use that as a segue, because it doesn't sound like you have much else to say about patches after 6.2.
Not really, not at the moment.
No.
I think it's, I mean, give us more raid tiers, but I mean, that they haven't said anything about it is a bit iffy. Normally they jump for joy to state stuff like that.
Yeah, and you would assume that at this stage of the game, they know if it's going to be the expansion next or another big raid tier next.
They do know that, but they're just not disclosing it yet.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
Which is very suspicious. But anyway, the segue has been ruined. 6.2 is on the PTR.
Sorry.
And how is 6.2 looking so far? A decent patch so far, I would say. They're still adding new stuff. But let's talk about what's already in-game. The Mythic Dungeons. LJ, you were with us with the Mythic Dungeons. What did you think of... Weren't you? Yeah, you were. It was Talk who wasn't there. Damn you.
Got you there for a moment, huh?
So, what did you think of the Mythic Dungeons so far?
A bit of a letdown, I have to admit. If you get if you're with 5 people in total, and you're not all nincompoops, you can definitely go through it.
Yeah. Obviously, it still has some tuning to undergo.
True, but at the moment, I think they were underwhelming. I don't think they can be called mythic. Of course, they were a little bit more difficult than heroic, but I would expect them to be, much more difficult than heroic.
Considering the item reward that you get for it, yes, absolutely.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, you got an item level 705.
Yeah, so it upgraded from 685 to 700, and then apparently that was also Warforged, so it became 705.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, it was a two-hander for my Brewmaster Monk, so it was useless. Anything on the PTR is useless. But our item levels got dropped to item level 660
Yeah.
for the testing itself. So we already went through the Mythic Dungeon, which you should really check out on YouTube, really easily, except for one particular boss, because one advantage, one positive thing of the Mythic Dungeons is the Mythic Dungeons are supposed to be the challenge mode additions, changes, and then buffed up to Mythic mode. So the third boss in Aukendoon, because that's how we're going to say it, damn it.
Achendoen. I still think it's Scottish.
Uh-huh. Well, in Aukendoon, the third boss has the imps that he summons, and they do a long cast. And if you don't interrupt them on Mythic, you almost die instantly. And I believe someone did.
I think multiple people did, but
Yes,
I don't
but
know what you're talking about. They were a
someone in
lot of fun, though.
particular.
So, Time Walker Dungeons.
Yes, so if you don't interrupt stuff on Mythic, you might find that you actually can wipe. So that was a good thing, in my opinion, for Mythic Dungeons. That's how it should be, considering the reward that you'll get.
Well, seeing as PTR, I want to, throw it on the fact that I forgot to actually put it on my bars.
Interrupts, you mean?
Yeah.
Mm.
So I'm not sure if it's making it any better. I'm just, just putting it out there.
Yeah. Trying to justify the
Just a little bit,
performance
just a little bit.
that everyone
PTR,
can see.
I mean,
Yeah.
Did you install it yesterday? Did you switch it on like 15 minutes before we actually start? So I mean,
Yeah, it's not like you had an entire week beforehand to
I don't know what you're
prepare.
talking about.
Yeah. But other than that, yeah, it was a cakewalk.
It was enjoyable,
It's-
though. I mean,
yeah.
people should really check out the vids. I mean, I don't know if you guys are going to have enough. I mean, just as much fun as we had, but it was a good time. It was
Yeah.
just nice to be there with 5 people and go through it. But the dungeon itself, I mean, it either needs to become more difficult, or the item level adjustment needs to stay that you can only do with 660. Well, that
Yeah,
you
but that's always for testing purposes.
Exactly,
And
so
they're
I
not
mean,
going to do that.
if you want to, if you're going to go in there with too high gear, I mean, it's just going to be a walk in the park.
Yeah. Well, even with not the high gear, it was a walk in the park.
Yeah.
So,
true.
some other info. The Mythic Dungeons have weekly loot lockouts. So even though you can only get loot from it once a week, you can still do it multiple times with friends. And you also have to get your own fun. You have to get your own 5-man group together. Now, of course, you can use the looking for group tool, but you can't use the random group finder. So,
No, so you can like with raids and such.
challenge modes is the specific go-to example.
Okay. Yeah. I never do challenge mode, so.
Yeah, I've done a few, but I hate them. I hate them with a passion. So,
Rough patch.
when it comes to World of Warcraft, absolutely.
Oh, that's true. I'll give
Yes.
you that. I can't. I can't even say anything bad about that. That's true.
Right, so the next bit, which we're also going to be live streaming on Tuesday, is the Time Walker Dungeons. You haven't done them yet, have you?
Nope.
Okay, so Time Walker Dungeons, I'm sure people know by now, are Wrath of the Lich King and the Burning Crusade dungeons. I believe 4 or 5 for each event. You have a Wrath event and the Burning Crusade event. And you can sign up for random groups. So that's because it is easy. You can sign up for random heroics. Your level gets scaled down to 70 or 80. And you get to go through the old dungeons and get some loot from it as well. The Time Walker, Time Warped item level is 660. What a surprise. So you can actually use that gear to gear up for Mythic Dungeons as well. Overall, it's pretty easy. It's fun though. And apparently it has been buffed in the past PTR patch. So we'll find out on Tuesday, assuming that there's no PTR maintenance.
So we're gonna die horribly, aren't we?
Well, there's usually PTR maintenance on Tuesdays, So we might get unlucky.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Will I get unlucky? Otherwise, or we're not going, or we're gonna die. So I mean, we're
Yeah.
screwed either way.
Yeah. Okay, so Time Walker dungeons and Mythic dungeons aside, that's the dungeon part of the patch. No new dungeons for 6.2. Even though, didn't they say they would add dungeons over time back at BlizzCon?
They said a lot of things at BlizzCon. I don't think we can really take anything serious that they say at BlizzCon.
Can we ever anymore?
No. We used to, but nowadays it's no. We are gonna give you this, and then 1 year later, half year later, no, we're gonna give you this now.
Yeah.
And then finally they're gonna give you this.
Yeah. Anyway, so dungeons aside.
We love you, Blizzard. No.
Well, I still want to work there, so yeah,
Exactly.
we love you. We were talking about a lack of content earlier in 6.2. They're still implementing it now in the PTR, but they're going to add 3 new reputations per faction. So there's really 4 reputations in total, but 2 get shared, and then there's 1 for the Alliance and 1 for the Horde. Yeah. To get reputation with these, obviously it might still change, but currently, for at least 2 of the reputations, you can do dailies. Dailies make a return. And for one of the 2 factions, you can also kill mobs in their area. So it feels like, assuming that it gets implemented for the rest as well, you're going to be able to do dailies to grind up those reputations slowly. Or just go to the area where you can kill mobs for reputation. So that was something that was missing from 6.0 for the basic reputations. I'd say that's a good change overall.
Yeah, true. I'd have to agree.
You can get stuff like mounts, convenience items, toys, all the usual kinds of stuff. Now, the interesting part of 6.2, and Blizzard actually shared our article about it as well, are the Apexis crystals. Because you're going to be able to gear up your alts to 6, 9, 5 item level gear via Apexis crystals. You can buy tokens. These will also drop off of mobs in Tanan Jungle, with which you can create item level 650 item level gear. And sometimes when you use them, it also upgrades automatically to 675. So there's an upgrade chance in that. But you can also buy a upgrade token for 20,000 Apexis crystals. So that's not a small amount.
Did somebody say Timeless Isle?
Yes, did someone... Exactly, Timeless Coins. Very good.
I'm sorry, we're still talking about Warlords of Draenor, right?
Yes, we're still talking about Warlords of Draenor.
Just making sure, because it sounds exactly the frickin' same as last time.
It's a little bit different. Of course, you'd have a new Apexis daily to do in Tanan Jungle. But after you do that daily, in the other... in the other 6 basically Apexis areas, you then get a bonus objective, which is pretty cool. Bonus objectives work the same way like the Apexis crystal daily. And after you complete the bonus objective, you get 500 crystals. So you can get crystals pretty quickly.
That's good that they increased that the amount that you get them, because it was not that great before.
Yeah,
you want to spend the whole day farming them.
Yeah, so someone on Reddit did some calculations after I checked how many crystals you can get per day maximum, and you need about, what was it, 80 days or something around 2 months to be able to fully gear up an alt to 695 item level gear.
2 months for 1 alt.
Yeah, for 13 or 14 gear slots, yes.
Yeah, that's...
It keeps you busy.
It keeps you busy, but it's not ideal, I would say. You don't have to do it. You shouldn't.
Okay.
You shouldn't do it too fast. But
no, what would be, just your thoughts in general on this Timeless Isle concept with rares and stuff like that, treasures, all that good stuff, and then the gearing.
contrary to what I think a lot of people say, I think I like Timeless Isle quite a lot. The moment when it was released, and I mean, you could stay there for a little. I think I stayed there for like a month or two, maybe. So I mean, it was a lot of fun, but of course it had its downsides. I mean, but I think the idea of a lot of rares, get some loot, get some stuff. It felt new and a bit fresh. Basically, it got a little bit tedious and boring after a while, of course. I mean, especially if you wanted to collect some of the more rare stuff in there. But I think 2 months for one alt. Of course, a lot of alts are probably geared by now, so you have that, of course.
So you have to fill in the slots, which will take less time.
Exactly. I mean, a lot of people play like you have one main, then one alt that you really want to play as well, or maybe two, and then the rest if you have more alts. That main alt will probably be geared less next to your main, of course, but the rest of your alts, I mean, it's going to be difficult, and if you really want to play them, 2 months is too long for that, I think.
How long would you say is the appropriate time then?
For alts, they of course should, I think
you can say that it's for your main as well. I mean, if you're a casual player, 695 item level is higher than Heroic Blackrock Foundry, so it's still good gear. So how long would you say that it would have to take to fully deck out your character?
Yeah, I'm purely talking about alts, and I think just in my opinion that 2 months might be a bit too long because how long do you take for your main? You take a couple months. We're now 5, 6, 7 months into the expansion, right?
Well, I count from the release of Blackrock Foundry because that was the latest quote-unquote content.
True, so that will be the highest item level then that you can
get. And that's item level 700 and 706 if you get Warforged. So that's February.
I mean, 695 is awesome gear, but it starts at 650, right? So, I mean, with the possibility, and you can get it more, you can get it higher.
Yeah.
But for alts, okay, 650 is very good, sufficient item level that they can carry on with. But then to have 2 months per alt to do that, of course you can play with alts
at the same time.
So you can gear them up a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
This is purely if you do it with one character. You can do a bit quicker if you actually play with the alt. You have a few other alts. So say you have 2, 3, 4, 5 characters doing it, then of course you'll reduce it to a month or less. Then I mean, with that I'm fine. But if you just look at it for one character, for one other character, 2 months, I don't know. The thing for me, if you want people to actually play their alts more, you have to do it, immerse them faster into the world. I mean, you've already done it with your main. You've seen everything. You've done everything, or you're going to have to assume that they've seen and done everything. And your alt, I mean, you want to play the character, not because you don't want to play the world anymore. It's nice to be in the world again and do stuff. Maybe, especially with this expansion, you can choose between. You have the 2 options, or you can go for the other option and see what quests are there. I mean, that does give a good replay value. English difficult. But I think that if you're purely looking at an alt that you want to gear up, when you hit level 100, you want to gear it up as fast as you can. Maybe not, be ready for heroic and mythic, but you want to go for normal. And you want to, discover stuff. You don't want to have to go through the same leveling and go through the same, gearing process as your main because you've already done that.
Sure. Yeah, but there will be other ways as well.
Oh, definitely. I'm just saying for this example.
Yeah.
That's what I feel with an alt. I mean, I want to play this class because my main is another class, or some people play twice the same class but different specs, geared wise and such. I mean, I don't care what you want to do, but I play a hunter then my main, and often I go for my or I used to be paladin, and then my hunter was my alt, or vice versa in this expansion. I want to just play that character and to the best well, maybe not to the best, but to a certain degree that I could say, yeah, I really like playing this character because the gear is good and I'm playing good in raids and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't want to go through dungeons and stuff again and people leaving and stopping because it's boring and. Ugh.
Yeah, but you'll have. I think 2 months isn't bad, because you're still going to have other stuff like the cash missions from your garrison, Time Walker 660 item level. If you're actually going to be playing your alts, then Mythic Dungeons won't be a bad way to gear up at all. So you get 685 from that, or 700 if you're lucky. From the garrison campaign missions in 6.2, there's, I believe, 4 or 5. Anyway, there's a chain of campaign missions in Tanan as well. At the end of that, you get one of the upgrade items to 695 for free. So there's a lot of ways that you can also gear up. You won't have to do the full 2 months if you're actually going to seriously play that alt.
Yeah.
And still gear up. There are going to be different venues to gearing up, which is what we want, right?
Yeah, true. I mean, different different ways to get the same results.
Yeah.
Is something I've always wanted.
Yeah, exactly. So, I think it's going to be okay. Obviously, like Timeless Isle, it's going to get boring. I mean, let's face it. There's an expiration date on content, especially content like this. Whether that's 2 months or 3 or even 1 is something that the community will have to decide for itself.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see. I know I'm going to be saving up for the 150k Apexis mount anyway, so I'm going to be there every day doing my dailies, doing the Apexis Crystal bonus objectives, which we've already talked about. So the last thing worth mentioning for 6.2 is the shipyard. And the shipyard, because it's currently still being designed and implemented, it's a pain in the ass, I'll tell you that. It's the latest patch. It's much worse compared to followers. On level 1, you can only get 5 ships in your fleet. When your shipyard upgrades level 2, 10, and then 15 for the third level.
Yeah.
But to unlock areas for your ships to go and do daily objectives, or not daily objectives, missions, is a pain because certain ships counter other ships, and your ships, if they fail their mission, have a good chance to be destroyed. So all the experience that they gained will be lost, which is a giant pain in the ass. Now, currently, one of the more important ships that you're going to need to unlock stuff is behind the new faction reputation, so Hand of Something for the Alliance and Vol'jin's Headhunters, I believe, for the Horde. You're going to need to get honored with those to actually get one of the ships that counters one of the blockades. They're called blockades if they block you from other missions. So it's great that you have to do different content to actually unlock stuff for the shipyard, but the chance of your ships being destroyed and the time it'll take before you get further with your shipyard. Oh yeah.
Not looking forward to that then.
I mean, it's still in development. They even changed that for missions, instead of 3 ships, you often need 2. So they're still adjusting it, and they might make it easier. But right now, oh dear God, it's going to be horrible. I'm not looking forward to the shipyard anymore. I can tell you that.
I notice, and that's that's disappointing, to be honest. But yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope they adjust it then and then make it something that is worth our while, or worth playing.
Yeah, it's that's why I don't think even 1 month will be enough before patch 6.2 is ready. They're gonna need some more time.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if that'll happen, if we'll get it.
Me too. So, I think we've covered everything we wanted to cover in the podcast. It's been a while. It's nearly an hour long. So I think let's go ahead and close it off. First of all, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this podcast, please comment, subscribe, click on the like button, let us know what you thought of the podcast in the comments. Be sure to check out our other content, Mythic dungeon previews, Time Walker dungeon previews. If you're still raiding, we have raiding guides for up to and including the first 6 Mythic bosses on YouTube, so be sure to check that out. You can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/wowweekly or Twitter at twitter.com/bbmezzi. Check out our website wowweekly.net. There's a lot of written content there as well, with articles detailing how things are going to work in 6.2. Pretty much everything I've mentioned. Looking at my planning, I still need to do the shipyard because that's still being developed, and the Tanan reps as well because those are still being developed. Something also coming to the website hopefully today, but looking at the time with still needing to cook dinner before the raid and stuff like that, I don't think it's going to happen. The design corner will also be coming back. I've just about finished the first wing of the raid. It was first going to be a 15 raid boss raid what I was planning to design, but it's taking me a lot of time. So it's
going to be 1 wing now. And,
I've reduced it down to 7, a more realistic approach for something that I'm doing on my own.
Probably,
So be sure to check that out on the website. I'm really happy with how the first 3 fights have turned out. I've even made dungeon journal entries for them and everything. And that took a lot of work. So further feedback I've received, they look pretty good. Close to how the dungeon journal looks in-game as well. So check that out. If not today, on Sunday, then tomorrow, on Monday, or on Tuesday. Soon, TM anyway. Thanks to LJ for joining me again on the podcast.
No problem. Glad to be here. You still need to pay me. What?
Oh, coughing hurts, damn you. I think that's everything. So, once again, thank you for joining us. I'm Mezzi, and we'll see you again next time.